Well, first, we're going to start with builder's risk insurance. And so, builder's risk, as a general rule, without getting too far into it in this introduction, is just as a basic statement, insurance that is there while projects are ongoing. It fills a gap between your standard property insurance that may protect property after its completion and CGL coverage that provides some measure of coverage for the contractor that builds it and the subcontractors that are involved. But, the exclusions in CGL and in property policies leave a gap for work that's put in place or work that may be damaged during a project. We'll talk a little bit more about that, how it slots in, what you need to look for, and how to bind it early on.
And we really see a lot where even attorneys that deal with construction claims quite a bit, they may know and have some familiarity with the CGL policies that their contractor clients generally get, but don't really understand all of these other types of policies and how that fits in and what's really required of their client under the contract.
Absolutely. The second sort of phase or category of insurance we'll talk about, it's really two. It's one category that kind of falls into two. It's your commercial general liability insurance. And this is your bread and butter. This is the workhorse of insurance for most contractors and general contractors and even owners. It provides some first-party coverage as well as some third-party coverage. Now, sometimes the insurance itself is a little more than a preamble to its exclusions. And we'll talk about some of those exclusions and what to look for and, things to double check to make sure that you are obtaining the coverage you need depending on what you're doing. Now, as part of that, as kind of a corollary, we'll talk about the concept of CSIPs and OSIPs. Now, that's contractor-controlled insurance programs and owner-controlled insurance programs. Now, while those programs themselves do generally provide CGL coverage, they also provide other coverages and create certain advantages for the contractor or owner and the subcontractors that are on the project. There are some drawbacks that need to be pointed out, but for the most part, the rise in these now prevalent programs for full project insurance are going to be discussed. Finally, we're going to talk about professional insurance. Now, this is insurance that's locked in by designers, design professionals, your architects, your engineers, and even those contractors that are doing design build work. They are kind of their own animal. They have some key sort of functions that you need to be aware of, particularly your eroding policy limits that otherwise can be problematic. And finally, we're going to talk about cyber liability as the rise of AI and other sort of, just technology generally involved in the construction process. This sort of liability that was once just a sort of placeholder in your CGL policies has now kind of taken on a life of its own. And there's other coverages that can be expanded and endorsements taken to guard against the adverse impacts whenever data is leaked, when you have breaches, ransomware, things of that nature.